Hello everybody and welcome back to the Development Corner. My name is Stealwing33 and today, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with a game called Slime King. Let me just pull up the, there we go. Perfect. A game developed by a nice man named, oh my god, please, for the love of God, act like a professional. There you go. A game developed by a man known as Josh Penn Pearson. We're back at Dev Corner today because he sent me this game. Well, correction, he put out a thing on Reddit. I saw it, and I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity to continue that thing that I said I would probably try to do. And so we're here with the True Slime King, a hardcore platformer, very reminiscent of games like, I'm going to say Super Meat Boy, or your VVVVV, or many, many other games. But without further ado, let's get back into it. I've played a little bit. I always play a little bit before I do this kind of stuff, just to kind of take a look at it. And I'm going to get back down to the first level, and I'll explain what the game's basic mechanics are, right? So the game's a basic run and jump platformer, right? You run, you jump, that's it. It's not terribly difficult. You can kind of see that your character has some interesting gooey physics. He sort of like gushes all over the place, and they're cute. That was a new best score for me. Nice, and all that kind of stuff, right? Which is fun. It's a competently put together platformer. But I have a couple issues with it, and we'll get into those in a little bit. But first, let's talk about what I do like. What I do like, paramount first off, out the gate, is that the game does control very well. This is both a good and a bad thing for it, as I think its good controls with the mouse and keyboard are great, but I do have one complaint, which is I would actually much rather play games like this with a gamepad, like tremendously. If you've ever watched me play Hollow Knight, you know that I have a hard preference for games be played, like games like this, platformers in general, played with a gamepad, because they provide me with a little bit more control than I'm provided with normally. Jesus Christ. And yeah, but we're gonna focus on some good stuff first. The first good thing is the game's actually, it's brilliantly made. It's very well put together. It functions well. Overall, I would say my experience with it so far has been very positive. Although I'm not actually a big platformer fan like this. I'm not a big hardcore platformer fan, I guess I should clarify. And it's not because, like, of anything in particular. I get frustrated really easily when it comes to playing platformers. My own platformer is fairly easy by most standards, and so, like, you know, it's a thing that definitely, like, is much. It's not this kind of game is not the sort of thing I would play, like, to relax on, like, a nice day. But it's something that I am enjoying it. And if you are into hardcore platformers, this is definitely, like, a game to check out. Let's check out a new level, one that I have not done before. We want to get the green one first, because then the green one will let us get the red one, which will let us get the orange one, which will let us get the blue one. Ow, okay. Alright, yeah, we can make that happen. I guess you could probably skip ahead straight to... No, because we have to get all the keys, so... Either way, we're going to be doing this all day today. There we go. Perfect. And then that led us to the goo. Although we did that, like, not in time, like, at all. There's definitely, like, there's a lot of mechanics going on. And, well, I'll go back through this level again to kind of try to explain that. So, the thing about this game that's interesting, at least for me at least, is, I guess we want to do green last, huh? I guess so. Oh, I missed the blue key. Yeah, we're not going to get the goo. There's a couple interesting things. So first, you run. There's only 3 buttons. You run, jump, and that's it, right? And so the game's fairly bog standard simple in that regard. Oh my god, yeah, okay, so that's a bad idea. Let's kill ourselves. Let's start red then. Let's see if maybe that's... Nope, that's actually actively impossible. Okay, got it. So I think blue is actually the best one to start with. Because then you can go up. No, you cannot go up. You have to jump underneath that. That's not possible. So, oops. I guess you can go orange, green. Ah! Yeah, so there's a lot going on, right? So you can kind of see that in the upper left, there's a bunch of readouts like my time, how much goo is left in our final thing, all that kind of good stuff. Which, oh, we made it with 30 goo left. That changes our score up here, which changes your overall score for the level. Just beating the level doesn't give you anything, which I think is kind of a bummer. I feel like time attack is a fun way to beat the game, but I feel like hardcore platformers generally, they only really should be difficult because of the platforming, and I feel like I'm constantly rushed in this game, which I don't enjoy. And again, that might be me. That might just be the fact that, like, I'm not a huge fan of this kind of platformer anyway. God, and I really wish I could play with a gamepad, because I'm going to be honest, playing with my keyboard is not my ideal way to play games like this. Oh, you can die like that? That's not fair. What did I even die to? It just ran off the screen. Is there an abyss over there? I feel like that's another problem, is that if something's going to kill me, I wish it was a little bit more obvious. Like, I don't know why I would assume that, oh, I can make that jump if I jump a little later. And like, yeah, I feel like there's a couple of things where the hazards kind of blend into the environment a little bit sometimes. And it's not, like, immediately obvious what's lethal and what isn't lethal to you, which I think is kind of lame. But that might just be me. Again, I like things to be clear. Like, there's a game like Super Meat Boy, right, which I think is, like, definitely, like, the greatest kind of this game to ever be produced, which, you know, might be just a little bit of bias, but it's definitely, like, my favorite kind of game that's been of this kind. Ah, motherfucker. And that game, like, all of the hazards are very apparent. They either move or they're, like, very different than the environment around them. And here, you can kind of see that although some of them are fairly obvious, like the spears or the flowers, these spike things sort of blend into the wall a little bit. So, like, when you first glance at them, it's not immediately apparent to you that that's, like, a hazard. That flower is deadly, right? Like, that. Why is that deadly? I know it's got a spike sticking out of the top of it, but, like, I don't know. I don't feel like that's exactly what it is that you want to do with this kind of a thing. And I'm by no means an expert at making this kind of game at all. But I do feel like there are design principles that you should stick to for this kind of thing. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, why? Like, okay, I had no reason to believe that that was deadly off the bat. Now I know, so I won't touch it again, right? But, like, how is this, like... How is this the thing that, like, I'm expected to do, right? I guess is how I want to put that. I kind of like that this had, like, a modular path to it, mind you. Ah, motherfucker. That's another thing I have a problem with. Your character's, like, super slidey. And, like, normally that would be okay, but, like, in Super Meat Boy, when your character slides, he slides because of something that you're doing, right? And I know that, like, that's not a fair comparison, because Super Meat Boy is, again, probably the greatest, like, hardcore platformer to... That's the reason the genre, like, has a resurgence right now, right? But, mother of God. So, you know, those are my complaints. The soundtrack's banging. I'll be straight up say that. I think that's very well done. The composer should be praised for his work, which I think is great. But, you know, like I said, I have a couple issues with this game that I feel like, why did I did not need to go in there. Hold on a minute. Yeah, hold on. So let's try this one more time. I just realized something that is perhaps a little critical to my success, which is once you get the red key, you can just win the game here. You don't need to get the orange key. You can just go down there. The goo's, like, available. That's another thing that's, like, very perplexing, is that the level design in this is good. It's very competent. I'm not gonna poo-poo it, but it's confusing, I guess, is the way I'm gonna state this without being mean. Sometimes there are levels where, like, you have to get every key, and then sometimes there are levels where you don't need to do that. The challenge seems to fluctuate kind of wildly. There have been levels where, like, I didn't need to like focus at all, and then there are levels like this that like required way more effort than they should. But even like this level was easier than the last level. Like, why 17 shouldn't be easier than 18, right? See, like there are spikes there. Like I didn't even see those. Mostly because like when you move, the game has a tendency to lose cohesion a little bit. I don't know what to do there. Mother of God. Yeah, when you move, the screen blurs because of the movement, right? And that's what I mean by the stuff kind of blends into the environment a little bit. And it's not like an overt negative. Like I don't want it to sound like, I don't want to sound like I'm just sitting here like just pissing on the game. I do think it's very well put together, but there are legitimate criticisms that should be levied. Like I kind of wish my character was a little bit easier to control. And again, I think that might be because I'm used to playing this sort of stuff with a gamepad instead of a mouse and keyboard, and I've always found keyboard controls to be sort of the worst for platforming, like always. But these do work. I'm definitely enjoying them more than I normally do when I play with a keyboard. Which I think is a positive thing. Like, I don't know. I like the game. I'll probably end up playing it even after I'm done with this. It'll probably be something that I sink, like, maybe a couple minutes into every now and then. See, but, like, right there, like, that's something that, like, I feel like if I had a gamepad, would not have happened. I do think that my biggest criticisms of the game are that it has a wildly fluctuating difficulty curve, right? Like, this level's not particularly difficult. I just suck, right? But there was a level earlier, I think it's like level 12 or something like that, that was like absolutely brutal. Took me like easily 10-15 minutes to beat by itself, which in a game like this, 10 or 15 minutes is a big time sink, you know? Yeah, I feel like that, like I controlled that as well as I could, but there was no way for me to handle that properly. Alright, there we go. There we go. Come on. Nope. Okay. We're gonna have to make this circuit a couple times, so let's... Unless I can somehow... No, because I don't think there's any way to wiggle back. Mother of God. I don't think there's any way to wiggle back from that last jump. But the game's available on itch.io. It's $20, which, I mean, you make of that price point what you will. I don't actually know how long the game is. I think it's decently long. I mean, I've been playing for, I want to say like an hour and a half now. Because I was just making sure that the game functioned and that I knew like what the hell it was I was going to talk about during the course of the episode here. It did have a good interactive tutorial, which was nice. The tutorial is very much like, do this like beginning thing here. The only thing it didn't do was it didn't explain to me that like the fact that your character can like run on the ceiling like that. The game did not explain that to me. How the fuck? I don't think there's enough time for me to get back. I don't think there's enough time for me to do this circuit twice. Like, I can do this, right? And then I can get the key that way. And then I need to somehow dodge this blue square so that I can make my way back that direction without hitting the... without getting blocked out, basically. But I don't know if that's even possible. It is. Alright. Mother of God. Okay. Yeah, like, okay, this right here would be 1,000 times easier on a gamepad, because I would be able to, like, air control myself a lot easier. The precision I have with a gamepad's a lot better. I think that's... I know I'm harping on it a lot, but it's because, like, that's, like, my hugest complaint right now, is that I like games like this generally. I just don't like doing them when I don't have maximum control. When my control is not maximum, I don't like it. I also think that, like, that maybe it's showing too many of my fucking ghosts. Because they're very distracting. Like, as you get better at the levels, they become quite sort of distracting. And I think you can turn them off over here. Like, you can, like, change the maximum number of deaths and stuff that you're displaying. Which I think is cool. I also think that that menu design is, like, my least favorite menu design I've ever seen. How the fuck am I supposed to get up there? Don't tell me it expects me to, like, wall jump off of... Okay, hold on a minute. Because if it expects me to wall jump... If it expects me to do this, like this... Yeah, hold on a minute. Okay, we can figure this out. But again, this is another one that where I feel like if I had my gamepad, and it was usable... And if it is usable and I'm just an idiot, I would, like, welcome that information from the developer. Because, like, oh, hey, there we go. That level was, like, great. So that's the thing, is if all the levels are like that, and maybe I'm just an idiot and was, like, doing them wrong, but, like, that was, like, way easier than it had any right to be, right? Like, we're real deep in the game here. The fact that I, like, literally just skipped part of that level because maybe that jump was... not tuned quite right or something like that. Would be a little disheartening, to be completely honest. But I mean, like, I absolutely crushed it right there. I haven't done level 20 yet. I'm not sure what that portal is, but we'll check it out in a second. This style of overworld is another... I have a complaint with that. I hate it, personally, as a designer. Your player is already working during the course of the game, right? It's not cool to make them work more after they're done working, right? I shouldn't have to, like... do actual difficult platforming between the levels to get to the next level. I don't like that, personally. I think that's... I do not like that design. I'm, like, well aware that that's, like, that's a me choice. Like, that's a stylistic thing that, you know, this developer maybe disagrees with me, right? That they think it's cool, but I hate it. I much prefer... my menu system to be clean in this kind of game, or at least just easy to interact with. Like, I'm platforming all the time during these levels, and I feel like when it boils down to it, like, needing to be able to do it while I'm also traversing is not fun. In fact, it almost made me stop playing it earlier when I was testing it, because I was like, I got really frustrated because there was one of the transitionary areas was, like, harder than the level I had just completed. And I was, like, pissed off about it. Let me see if I can find that. Hold on a minute. Well, and, like, you guys saw it earlier when I was trying to do that, like, blue jump. With, like, the bar thing. Where the fuck am I? Like, down. Like, I like these shortcuts. I think they're cool. I enjoy that, like, you sort of unlock them for doing well in the levels. I also hate that you unlock them for doing well in the levels, because it doesn't feel good to do. Alright, like, see, like, that's like a new hazard that I don't appreciate. Okay, hold on a minute. Let's see if I can beat this level, and then we'll call it quits for the episode, I think. Because what are we at? Like 20 minutes? Something like that? Oh, and I know that there are, like, all these, like, slime balls that I could be getting for, like, bonus points. Fuck getting them. They are almost always in, like, the douchiest place ever. And I don't want to get them, because they are the worst to try to get. Like, this one over here is straight up a trap. I don't think that's actually possible to do at all. And I would be, again, welcome to being wrong. But, sweet Jeebus. Like, this level's way easier. How the fuck do you get this? Like, I don't understand how you would be able to get all of them, right? Like, you in the amount of time you have for goo, right? I guess maybe, like, the point of this level is to get all of them, so there's no time limit. But I also feel like that's, like, such an asshole thing to expect of your player. Like, I don't know if I can actually do that. But I think now that I've realized that there's no time limit here, that, like, actually makes me feel better. Like, it makes this a lot... I like this level now, because no time limit is nice. It's sort of relaxing. And by relaxing, I mean, you gotta remember... I'm not talking like, oh, I feel like this isn't hard. Like, I'm talking about, like, this shit's really difficult. And when I say relaxing, I mean, like, removing one of the layers from it is nice. Like, I don't know. I don't like the expectation that, like, if I don't perform well, I can't unlock those shortcuts to, like, get around easier. I don't like that. I don't really enjoy the multiple levels of pressure. Oh, god damn it. Alright. But that's gonna do it. So let's go out of here for a minute. There's a few bonus levels, actually. That's interesting. That's gonna do it for now, though. I do like this game. If you're a big platformer fan, you're a big puzzle platformer guy, or girl, I would recommend it. It's $20 on itch.io. There's a link down in the description to the store page for that. Full disclosure, I got the game for free to take a look at it, so I'm not gonna tell you how to evaluate your time or money, but I think it's very well put together. I think it's got a great soundtrack. I think it's cute. I think it's well put together. There are just some stylistic and design choices that I vehemently disagree with, that I think if they added in things like controller support, if they added in I think that this menu needs to be changed. I think that having it be a mouse over menu is a bad idea. And like when you hit escape, it brings you back to the menu, which that does have like quick play, which puts you into a level selector and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. So it has features, which is cool, but I don't know. I think that a lot of it boils down to. I think a lot of it boils down to how much do you like very difficult platformers, and whether or not this looked appealing to you out the gate. I think it's a very well-designed platformer. I think it seems to be very robust. It looked like there were a lot of levels already. For $20, that's not a bad value proposition if this is something you're into. If you do not like challenging platformers, this may not be the game for you. If you frustrate easily, same deal. But yeah, with that, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys like what you saw, let me know. If you guys have other games that you want me to take a look at, please leave them in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to take a look at them. And with that, thank you all so much for watching. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye!